This conversation was supposed to be about solutions, but instead it exposed something entirely defeatist. Mindset with no answers, alternatives, or vision for improvement. Pay attention to how often it reaches a dead end. Let's dive in.
In order for your
Doing
marriage to
this-
work, they have to be white, Christian.
They don't have to be white.
Make money,
No.
and then also probably live in a certain region.
If it's the
now,
case
what if that's
that-
not the
yeah.
case? Because
Yeah.
in the United States, I don't know where you live, but in the caves
Then
and
we use
hills
the
of United-
apparatuses.
if you take the rest of the United States, they're highly not that. That is outside of those demographics.
And don't you wanna
what if
change
they're-
that?
What if they're outside of that?
Don't
What
you
if they're
wanna-
not white
don't-
and Christian?
don't you wanna
What if
change
they're
that?
not Christian to make 100K? What do you suggest then?
Yeah, so here's what I would suggest. If it's the case that in the black community, you have more divorce than in the white community, there's going to be contributing factors for why that is. I don't think that, black people are just ontologically different than white people, do you? Do you just believe, that at their core, they're just ontologically different, or do you think that they're the same? Because if that's the case, if we're equal people and equal people groups, then there must be some other social factors which are relating to this that increase the divorce rate in the black community that doesn't exist yet in the white community.
When he says ontologically different, just think of made differently, right? Think of nature versus nurture. What Andrew is proposing here is that the difference in some of the statistics that we see when it comes to the black unit, black economies, the black family structure is more nurture versus nature. Let's go.
If that's the case, we would specifically target those issues to prevent that from happening, right? We're going to do this
What
across.
is it?
We're going to do this across the board. Well,
what would they be?
For the black community, there's a bunch. One, you have a distinction in economic certitude. The second one is you got a massive abortion rate, which is super problematic. Another one is you use matriarchal structures in the family home instead of patriarchal. Huge issue that you have. By the way, when it was Christian-based, didn't happen. It was a patriarchal structure inside those black homes. And boy, they didn't put up with shit. Not the case anymore. So you have multiple factors here which need to be addressed. I agree with that. Nobody ever disagreed with that, though. What we're trying to do is look at the mitigation of risk. And even for the black community,
We handled that already.
If the black community moves in to these conventionally traditional churches, they still will have the same ecclesiastical authority, which will assist them in governing their marriage that white people would have, and it would still assist with the mitigation of risk. What's the alternative? It's just degeneracy, right? The alternative is just we'll just hump them and never get married. Well, what good does that do for blacks? What good does that do? It just leads to more abortion. It just leads to more degeneracy. It leads to high crime rates, and the single motherhood's out of control. So, what are you doing to prevent any of that? Nothing. Nothing. Tell me.
When he says the single mother rate is out of control, I actually just posted this on my Facebook yesterday. All right. Link to my Facebook down in the description box down below. Almost half of all of the black mothers are single mothers. This is twice as bad as our Hispanic counterparts and more than 3 times worse than our white counterparts. Quick emergency.
Thank you. You said things that people have known for the past 45 years, but I
didn't answer the
appreciate that.
question.
Hold on for a second. Thank you for contributing to a common conversation that people know, but you offer no other solution. That's great. Now, here's the problem. Here's a problem with this. It's an if scenario. That would be great if we can go back to this. It would be great if we can go back and look at and say that blacks, when they were in the 40s and 50s, they had more stable relationships and marriages than even white folks. Here's the issue.
Okay.
Why stop at the 40s? Let's talk about 1863.
Okay.
Your tradition seems to always hit this point of 1940s where you shine this light of traditionalism that you've never lived in, that seems to be in a snapshot of something that you don't even know about. Then when I fast
You're not
forward
even
20
saying anything, dude.
again, you're not listening. When I fast forward to 1970, when it falls all apart with no fault divorce, based on what I've been arguing, what happens? All that traditionalism falls apart. Why don't we take it further? Why don't we take it back to bride prices? I mean, how far in tradition you're going to go? You're only going to bang your head around 1940 and 50 because you watched a couple of movies and I Love Lucy episodes?
Okay.
That's not tradition.
Okay.
That was a snapshot in history that you're trying to achieve again.
So let's say we take it all the way back to the 1700s, let's just say, just for the sake of it, right? And that I'm totally wrong about all this, just for the sake of argument, let's just say. What is your prescription to deal with any of those issues when you're telling men in the black community to not get married? How is that going to assist with abortion? How is that going to assist with strong fathers in the home? How's that going to assist with the only demographic population which can't reproduce itself? How? Can you give me a single prescription to any of that?
let me tell you something. I agree with you on this.
I just want a prescription, dude.
Here's the problem. I agree with you. And listen, if you had any ability to provide this prescription better than Louis Farrakhan or Martin Luther King,
Does that mean
or
no?
give me a second. Listen to me. These men have tried to pretty much heal this issue, and they haven't.
No, they didn't.
Andrew Wilson certainly not to. Neither will CGA. So I don't have a prescription
That's
for the
right.
black community.
See, that's tragic because that's the defeatist mindset that I'm talking about here. There needs to be a solution because other cultures have been able to figure it out. It can't be as simple as just the black skin is the reason why, because every African has black skin, and the divorce rates in the African community is very, very low. The divorce rate in all immigrant communities are very, very low. The divorce rates in the overseas, in the East, are all very, very, very low. So it's definitely something cultural, and it's definitely a problem that can be solved. But if we have this mindset that, well, there's nothing we can do. MLK failed, so there's nothing we can do. We're never going to get anywhere. And it's too bad because this is such a productive conversation if there was a solution-oriented approach and not so much of just here's this issue and there's no solution. If you're tired of debaters always talking about problems but no solutions, hit that subscribe button.
Because
That's
the
right.
black community is pretty much doomed at this particular point. They have too much degeneracy. They have single mother rates at the 70 and 80%.
black
But I'm going to tell you
bullshit.
something. You want to come in here and tell me something about ecclesiastics, and you're telling me about the reality of the black community, how to fix it. Nobody's been able to fix that community. So there's nothing you can do, and I can't offer any solution for that.
Look,
now,
is
at
it-
that particular
yeah.
point, you're saying the risk is higher. It certainly will be higher under those matriarchal conditions. So you get no argument from me there. So at that point, where's your statistics lie then?
Well,
Where's your solution then?
I'll tell you.
This is so fascinating because essentially CGA is like, yo, listen, the ship is sunk, baby. It ain't sinking. It's dead in the water. There ain't no salvaging it, right? But this is so fascinating because Andrew is proposing that one of the major issues with the black community when it comes to family dynamics and just everything that's wrong with the black community, we're lost sight of Christian conservatism. And if we abided by the rules like a patriarchal structure, for example, then it would begin to solve some of these issues where CGA is just like, well, if MLK and Farrakhan and like all of these different black leaders couldn't have done it and no one listens to them, what makes you think that they're going to listen to anybody else? The interesting thing is that through the advent of the internet, there are some people that have way more reach than those old school names ever had. So it's almost like Andrew is sort of charging CGA with, well, but you are one mic that can reach hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. You can be charged to start. I think it'd be a lot different if CGA predicated his platform off of a black struggle, a black plight, and then all of a sudden became successful and just said, see ya. But I don't think that he's ever positioned himself like that. So the question is off to y'all. Do you guys think that us with platforms and as mics, as soon as we become large, it is incumbent upon us to try to fix some of the issues? Or is it that we all have free will and we could do whatever with our platforms that we want?
Yeah, and so I'm glad
He's going to solve the community problems here. I'd love to hear
didn't
this.
say. Listen again. I'm not saying
The black
that-
community problem
Yeah,
solved
yeah.
by Andrew Wilson.
That says the guy who literally
I
just
would
got
love to
done
hear
saying,
this.
I
I would
have
love to hear
zero prescriptions.
Because
Right.
nobody does.
Yeah,
That
well, here's
community
the
is here.
thing.
But I would love to hear
Here's
the
the
black
thing.
community solved by Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, so let me tell you a bunch of things that
Okay.
can be done which will help mitigate these
please
issues.
please
the
do.
first is
that you can accomplish,
Yeah.
not some
That can be-
pipe dream.
That can be
I wanna hear it.
accomplished.
Okay, here we go.
That can be accomplished politically, and already are
Politically.
beginning to be accomplished politically. The first is you have to outlaw abortion. You have to. It has to be outlawed. And not by state where you can just go to the next state and do another abortion. Right? One of the biggest problems with promiscuity in the black community is that they use abortion as a form of birth control.
Yeah.
Same problem that you see in the white community, by the way. It's just more prevalent in the black community.
Yeah.
The next problem that you have there is the lack of religiosity, where there used to be a really strong core religious base of based black men.
Yeah.
And they were patriarchal, very patriarchal.
They've demonized
And the thing
that,
is
though.
that it's the idea of these feminist bra-burning lunatics that told black women not to be under the evil patriarchy of their men. And yet,
Yes.
at this point, the men are rolling over and allowing the matriarchy to take over in their own community. Is a return to traditional church ethics going to assist that? Of course it will. Of course it will. How do I know?
Assist.
Because it did then, just a few short years ago. I'm not talking about hundreds of years ago. I'm talking about 60 years ago. By the way, there's other things that you can do too. Getting rid of EBT, getting rid of social programs which are designed to keep people dependent. These are all things which can be politically accomplished. Just like abortion, the starting of banning that was politically accomplished in our lifetime. And the thing is like, you have no prescriptions. Fuck, at least I'm trying here, man.
Man, Andrew, you are Captain Obvious. This is the obvious
Then why didn't you
prescription.
obviously state it as a prescription?
Because people have exhausted the means to be able to do this. Trust me, there have been people way better than you that dress better than you and shave their beard better than you that can do this, and they haven't been able to accomplish it. You have to know possibly where most of those women go to church. Most of black churches are overwhelmingly women. It's a women's club, and you're telling me about
Not
something completely
churches.
obvious that everybody has pointed out for 25 years. You're not giving me anything new. This is a completely obvious scenario, and you believe that you've enlightened me over here, and you're waiting for me to give you a solution. Let me tell you something.
It's not about changing your mind.
You certainly would never do that. Now, at this particular point here, the unsettling experience that men experience in divorce, all right, you're saying you're just going to mitigate it or eradicate it. What about the small percentage of men that experience it and go through issues like high levels of self-deletion?
Hold on, before they get into that, this is actually one of the issues with these debates is that they're not doing a debate to really get down to the core issues and solve for the core issues. It's really just platform against platform, right? So these debates, if you're going to put YouTubers and with their platforms and their businesses on the line, it's just going to become a sparring match of who can get the most points through. But like Andrew put in a list of things that I think are things that should be further discussed. Coach Greg Adams just combated some of those issues, but it's like, then we just stop there. If we keep going down further, like for example, to call out a religious prescription as a solution. And I'd like that he's saying prescription as opposed to anything else, right? Prescription as a solution to assist. He's being very specific within his words, not to help beat it, but to assist. But then Coach Greg Adams follows up and he's just like, hey, listen, most of the church is dominated by women. Have you ever? So, but then what's after that? So if they're not going further than that because it's just platform versus platform, and it's almost like
of them not being able to recover financially ever, they're still going to experience this under your scenario. This doesn't disappear.
It'll never
What prescription do you have for those men that went to your marriage and they got divorced 33%? What do you do with these men?
33%
Okay, 20%, 30%. It still was at a high rate.
I think it would
what
even
prescription
be lower than that.
You would hope so. You would hope so. But hope is not a strategy. What hold on for a second. What scenario do you have for men that you led into the burning building when they experience separation from their children, parental alienation,
It's a good
high levels
question.
of self-deletion?
Yeah.
What prescription do you have, sir, that you sold?
Yeah,
have
that's a
all
great
you
question.
have all the answers. Please enlighten us.
Yeah, so-
what you're going to do with these men?
so-
Are you going to enforce them to have sex with other virgins that
I'll
you have on
answer.
the sideline?
I'll answer the question,
Please
but I
do.
want to make a deal with you that if I answer this last question of yours, that you'll actually answer when I ask you after that. Is that a
Listen, we're
deal?
not in a court of law. I don't have to answer anything. I can state something.
Yeah, I know,
and
but
then
I'm
we can
asking
go
if we
back
can
and
make a
forth.
deal. That if I
I'll
answer this
consider
question, you'll answer
answering
my
a
next
question
one.
that you.
What is the point of having a discussion like this if you're going to refuse to answer questions? Like, and it's so tragic too, because this is like a very productive discussion. Like, and it sounds like both sides and everyone would be down to figure out a way to lower the divorce rates or increase stability in the black community or figure out a way to support mothers so they're not getting abortions. Like, this is very productive conversations, and all the topics that they're talking about are things that would benefit all of society. So it's weird to kind of come in here and have this like mentality like, oh, I'll answer questions if I want to, and I don't even understand why it's so combative, because this should be a common ground issue where it's more just discussing the ideas of how to get there, and not so much I'm here to win, I'm here to beat you, I'm here to slam dunk on you.
Ask me, I'll consider
So we're not
it.
going to make a deal on that?
I don't have to make a deal. Listen,
You don't
I'll
have to.
consider
I'm asking if
answering
you will.
something. Possibly. So go ahead.
Possible? Okay, well
Possibly.
then I possibly will hold the debate hostage until you possibly make a deal with
All right,
me.
great. So
They're getting
I give you
petty.
four.
Gosh.
So we'll someone just sit here and
They
stare at
give me
each
the
other,
floor.
or we
Well,
just
here's the deal.
filibuster each other? Like
at this particular point.
so
you don't want to.
so I can
you want
answer-
to answer it.
Oh,
you want to
come
answer
on.
it.
But
I
you're
know
not going to.
answer
But you're not
it.
going to answer mine. I just want that clear. You're not going to answer mine after.
Answers-
You're just going to
I
filibuster and
answered the
stonewall
question.
again.
I ask you the question. Put it on the table.
So this is pretty simple,
Okay.
right? What you're proposing here. Every policy prescription which is made anywhere in any nation, with any people group, from the tribal all the way to the national level, is going to be a trade-off, no matter what. There's always going to be some people who are disaffected by it in some small percentage, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. We don't run societies based on outliers. When it comes to suicide in men, particularly, one of the best ways to mitigate that is to begin the process of eliminating deployment of troops abroad, because one of the biggest contributing
veterans.
factors to male suicide, including in marriage with divorce, is their veteran status. And it's because they really depend on their family to assist them with what's going on mentally from the fact they've been deployed in these wars. And one thing you could really do that would help that's what the American First policy is we want to bring troops home, no more foreign wars. That will greatly help and aid with this problem. And by the way, policy-wise, it's already been aiding with this as Trump has wound these wars down. And by the way, I'll point out
that's a good. That's a good one. I like it.
I'll
Go
point
ahead.
out. I'll point out a few more things.
good.
That you
Oh,
can
please do. Yes.
So another thing that you can do is at the national level, right? From propaganda works. I'm sure you agree. Propaganda absolutely works.
Absolutely.
If at a national level you had propaganda, which instead of showing LGBTQ flags, degeneracy,
Sexy
girl
red.
bossing, shit like this, which is what you see everywhere, you had institutional family units instead.
Come on.
Right? And that was what you saw everywhere that you went.
Yep.
And that was where the social status was. At the top-down level, that would really help change people's psyches around. The same way they were indoctrinated towards the degeneracy, same way you can indoctrinate them out of degeneracy. That's how we got a whole nation to smoke. And it's also how we got a whole nation to quit smoking.
Oh, that's
the thing
a good
is,
point.
like, there really are good prescriptions here. And the only thing I get from you...
Wait a minute.
Hang on.
We're talking about
hang on.
self-deletion
Almost
of
done.
men.
Almost done.
Okay.
Yes. That'll help with self-deletion of men. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's one of the biggest contributing factors. Single motherhood, another huge contributing factor. These are all things which we need to mitigate. And by the way, these are all great prescriptions. You said I don't have none.
No, for a second. That's what you said. Now, here's the deal.
Okay.
These are great prescriptions. I happen to live in the time that you're talking about when the FCC didn't allow degeneracy, and I was able to live through the time where they started to allow it.
Yeah.
So I, unfortunately, was able to see a time where America was great, and now we had dysfunction.
Yep.
So I agree with some of those things.
Okay.
That took place probably 40 or 50 years. It would take a very, very
Maybe 100
unique
years.
scenario for that to occur when you have Cardi B and this type of music out here. And she's a single mother divorcee with a man that is having babies
See,
with
now
multiple
that's
men.
a good argument.
Okay, so how...
That's an actual argument.
Hold
The
on for a
first one
second.
I've
No,
heard.
that's something that you agree with. That's okay.
No, that's an
okay.
actual
okay.
argument.
No, it's an agree. You just agree. You can be humble enough to say you
That's
agree
an
with me.
actual argument.
No, listen, you don't have to be...
Come on, guys.
You don't have to belittle or attempt to belittle.
Well,
I'm here a grown-ass
I'm not.
man.
The argument
just say
is
you agree.
propaganda
Hey,
takes
listen,
time.
listen. Just say you agree.
The moderator got to step
You want to
in.
be
It's
the
not a
answer
matter
question.
of
Just say
agreement.
you
It's a
agree.
matter of
Just say
recognizing
you
that was an
agree. It's
argument.
okay, sir.
It's
I know
the
you,
only
I know you're
argument
not
you've
used
made
to
the whole
somebody
debate.
across from you. No, just say you agree. You can humble yourself in the side.
I don't agree.
Now,
It's
listen,
just an argument.
listen. You agree.
It's
Be a
just-
big boy.
Oh,
Be
yeah.
a big boy.
I don't
Now, listen,
agree, but
hold
it's
on
an
for a second.
argument.
Here's a second. Here's a second.
Okay.
How petty this is.
You're
What are you
telling-
guys- how are you guys arguing about this? Arguing about if you agree or disagree. Like, this is the opportunity to continue on with your point, and you guys are finding common ground.
Me, it's going to take 50 to 100 years.
No.
I ask you about a man that's considering taking his life today. You're telling me about propaganda machine.
Yeah,
Okay, there
it's
are
gonna
men
take time.
here that are been abandoned from their kids. They've been alienated. I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about in the church. I'm talking about today.
Okay, I'll answer
You're
you
telling me
today.
about some scenario where you're going to change
It's not gonna
liberalism and
happen
bring
today.
in righteous conservatism. That's not going to work today. We need solutions for men today, not 50 years from the turning point meeting. Okay, at this point, today we have men that are in dire need of help.
I agree.
They're
Yeah.
going through unsettling situations and divorces. This is who I speak to, and you keep telling me obvious answers about propaganda and changing this and going to church. This sounds great on paper, but that doesn't happen today. You don't start that today. Can you give me a one solution you got that starts today, Mr. I got all the solutions? We can start today.
Yeah. If you if you
Just
assist with
stating how it's going. Andrew is getting upset at CGA because he doesn't offer, I guess maybe in this part, he doesn't seemingly offer any prescriptions or any arguments against any of his points. And I would argue that Andrew has elicited a lot of different prescriptions. And the thing is like, hey, listen, if it took 40, 50 years to destroy this shit, it might take 100 to 150 years to build it back up. It's way easier to tear the bottom of the Jenga block up than to build it all on. But I think that CGA's defeatist attitude as it refers to the black community, to be honest, I think although he's being debated about it right now, I do think that there's many black people that have the same damn attitude of it. Those
Ask me, can you do anything about a man who might be willing to blow his right this second because he's already going through the events of divorce, which I had nothing to do with, wasn't there for, could never do anything about.
Nobody can do anything
Can you prevent?
about it.
Of course, nobody can. But that's built
Even
into
your righteous ecclesiastic reverend from the pulpit.
Yes, but it's built into the question. What you're building into the question.
But that doesn't mean, though, that we don't try or we don't start making improvements. There's definitely things that we can do today, but we're not going to see the results or the fruit of those labors for some time. But that doesn't mean that you don't start today. And it certainly doesn't mean that you throw your hands up in the air and just give up. It's that same victim mentality that keeps people stuck where they're at. If someone can become successful over the course of their lifetime by shedding themselves of the victim mentality, then problems in society can be solved by humanity if we don't have a defeatist mentality.
Is probably the worst framing ever. Andrew, if somebody right this second is willing to do something bad, can you stop them?
Here it comes. Here it comes. Look at the scenario. But your scenario is to change MRA funding when women outvote men 60 to 40%, and you have women lobbyist groups and 0 men lobby groups. That's what you're telling me?
Really
We're going to change to fund MRA groups.
Congress
MRA
makes
groups,
the law, not the voters, sir.
Hold on. When
makes the law.
MRAs are on some terror lists. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're telling me that they're going to start just switching funding? We're just going to switch funding over here to a terrorist organization,
the thing is,
according to some of these websites.
Yeah, I would say
this is just a pie in the sky. All your solutions are completely pie in the sky.
Not pie in the sky, but I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example.
The least possible situation that can occur.
I'll give you an example of where it's already happened. So I would argue that the traditional churches are MRAs, that they are men's rights advocacy groups, and that's where traditional masculinity is mostly found today, where men are even allowed to be masculine. Hang on. Let me finish my point. And it is the case that those MRAs, in this case the traditional churches, already got abortion rolled back, didn't they? They're already moving these things back. They're already at the forefront of fighting degeneracy. They are also the ones who are at the charitable forefront of helping those same veterans who are blowing their heads off when the government doesn't even pay any attention to them. When by the time the government was all done doing any of these reforms when it came to veterans associations, it was those pesky old traditional churches from Sky Daddy that you hate so much. They were the ones on the forefront who were actually assisting those people and not doing that. While you asked me this question, Andrew, what can you do right this second for a guy who's going to blow his head off? Well, probably nothing. But neither can you.
Of course
But
not.
at least we could do something about that not happening to others.
Okay, so that's very easy to accomplish in red states. And red states overwhelmingly were the states that got those things passed.
Yeah.
They were already going to get it passed without the interaction of these so-called righteous individuals.
That was
saying.
done
Hold
at
on
the
for a
federal
second.
level,
Now
not
let's
the
just,
state level.
through Donald Trump.
The federal
Now
level.
watch
It
this.
doesn't have to
But
do with red
California, Nevada, these are all states that you can easily drive to and get it done because they're red
Which is why we
or
need
they're
a
blue
federal
states.
ban, yeah.
And at that particular point, are we going to get a federal ban?
Yeah,
Do you believe
we very
have?
possibly could, yeah.
Possible.
It looks good. It looks good,
but
yeah.
we don't have it today. All right, so we don't.
You
we're not.
can't-
Again, we don't have it.
So what
and
you want to
more
do?
than likely,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you. You said it's possible, and I say more than possible. You're not going to get it. All right. So at that point,
That's what
now
they
you
said
have
about
an
Roe
issue.
v. Wade, and they were wrong.
They're wrong today. They're wrong. Possibly, we possibly might get it, but California they're not doing it. I can drive to California
If there's
right
a
now.
federal ban,
when
they
there's
can't
a woman that
stop
can
it.
drive it, I could take a woman to Nevada.
Yeah,
You can
but
take
it's
her to
already
many
decreasing
places
the
right now.
rates. It's already working. Like, what are you talking about? It's already effective.
All it does is just send women to another place.
And
They're
it
gonna find
reduces the amount of abortions.
It reduces it so
Significantly.
Now we're not. That's all we're talking about. Reducing it. We're
Yeah.
talking about now the unsettling experiences.
So do nothing?
We're doing something.
Right.
Yeah.
We're doing something. I'm informing
Yeah.
people. I'm giving people the information.
To do what?
And you're telling me
What do you want them to do?
To not play the game.
Tell me
forever.
what men should do.
I'm telling you what they're
What?
doing. All right. At this particular point, this
Yeah.
is the question that you've been wanting to ask me.
Okay.
All right. I put out a book called 52 Things That Men Should Do Prior to Considering Marriage.
Okay.
What it does is take it through a step-by-step approach of what they need to look out for just to detect.
What does that do?
Hold on for a second.
Right
Hold on for a
now.
second. Just to detect this man's considering. I've had plenty of men that said they were considering marriage. They found the red flags because of my book, and they stopped getting married to a woman that eventually they saw would have been bad for them. That would have cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm doing something very positive. Now watch this.
This is
you
great.
mitigate the red flags. You allow
Mitigate the
men to
risk.
understand what the process
Mitigate
of
the
marriage
risk.
is.
Mitigating the risk.
Then you're going into possibly telling them what the state is involved in, how your children are affected, parental alienation, the odds of self-deletion, and so forth and so on. So that's an
I want to
obvious
make sure I got this right.
opportunity for men to learn.
So I want to get this right.
You're telling me
What
a pie in
you're
the sky
doing-
possibility of changing
Yeah,
laws
so what you're
when women
doing-
outvote men 60 to 40%.
Yeah. So you
Again, they're debating each other as if both of their answers to this don't help or they don't
Right, that's
contribute.
what I was saying,
We're
yeah.
pulling Andrew is more focused on the proactive, more macroeconomic prescriptions that can aid or assist in what we see is wrong or incorrect. As CGA is more focused on, hey, listen, this shit probably ain't gonna change anytime soon. It is what it is. Understand the rules to the game right now in order to mitigate risk. So it seems like both are absolutely necessary. Creating content for men to understand red flags is great because if you increase a man's knowledge into what is an incorrect type of woman to get into a long-term marriage with, which can be mentally, emotionally, physically draining to a man if he chooses the wrong one. It could be life draining, lifestyle draining to that man. It could mess
Financially,
up
too.
the rest of his life if he chooses incorrectly and he is at the whim of the family court system. But I think
it doesn't, dude. You don't even understand the political process and how it works. Voting itself, when you're talking about,
Lobby groups.
yeah, you're
What
talking about
men's
lobby
lobby
groups and
What men lobby
NGOs.
groups? What male lobby groups do they
The
have?
traditional churches.
Okay, we're back to church again.
They're the ones
Okay,
who
we're
do all
back-
the lobbying on behalf of men.
They're doing it on behalf of the men that follow them. That's not on
It's
behalf
for
of
all men. This abortion ban helps all men, not some. Their charities to men who are going to kill themselves helps all men, not some.
It doesn't help all men in that situation.
Yes,
it helps the
it
men.
helps.
Because listen,
Yes, it
I'm going to
does.
tell you where it doesn't. There might be a woman considering getting an abortion, and he wants to keep the kid. He has no mitigating risk.
They're the only ones trying to change that.
Exactly. Who is?
The traditional
You're
churches.
saying the traditional churches.
Yes.
All right. At that point, that doesn't help him.
Yes, it does help him.
So you're saying at that point, it's only the traditional church when you have hundreds of female lobbyist groups and you have them out.
They're the
voting
ones
men.
combating those
And
female
that's it.
lobbying groups.
And
Yes.
that's it. How are they doing? Only the red
They're
states.
doing great.
Only the red
no,
states.
at the federal level, they're doing great. You're wrong.
You can still go to other states to get it done.
Yes, but we've still
this point.
managed to mitigate it even in those states. It's a war. It's a political
that's
war.
right.
That's how it works.
Exactly.
And not only that, let's point this out. Your whole solution here, I wrote a book to help mitigate future events. Oh, great. Andrew, what are you trying to do? Help mitigate future events.
Exactly.
Oh, right now, right this second, what can I do to help? Andrew says right this second, if guy has a 357 in his mouth, he's going to pull the trigger, he can't do anything. You're totally right, but neither can you by your own admission.
Correct.
So there we go there. When we're looking at the future, though, and I say, let's do all of these different prescriptions, which we can actually politically accomplish and move towards, you say, that's all pie in the sky, blah, 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 blah. I ask, well, what can you do as far as future prescriptions?
And
You
I
say,
told them-
blacks are and I have absolutely no prescriptions for it.
No,
Sorry,
actually, I
guys.
wrote a book,
Right.
52 things that men could consider
To
prior
mitigate
marriage.
divorce risk. The
So
same thing I'm
find
trying
out
to do.
if they're marrying the right woman. So you're just
Mitigating
mad.
divorce
You're just
risk.
mad that I have one solution, you have another, and we don't
Mine's
agree with
better.
it. That's what you believe. I think yours is pie in the sky. So that's just.
I
your
don't see
own
how it
belief
could be
system.
pie in the sky.
When
It's
not
affecting
working,
way
you're
more men
asking-
than your
you're
book
asking-
is.
No, my book actually has 15,000+. You have how
So?
many? Hold on. You have
So?
how many? You have how many ecclesiastic marriages that your church pastor is going to go into the bedroom and enforce marriages? You can't even give me
Nobody
a number.
ever proposed
you couldn't
that.
even
You're
give me
such
a number.
a liar.
You
You're
couldn't even give me
such
a
a
number.
liar.
You said that. Give me a
Nobody
number.
said
Okay.
that the pastors are going to go in the bedroom and enforce anything.
Okay, social pressure.
Stop lying.
All your social
Just
pressure.
Stop lying,
listen,
dude.
listen. Where's your social pressure? How many people do you have in your ecclesiastic marriages? How many people got married under that?
Millions.
Please give me a number.
Millions of
Show
people
me a
have an
number. Go-
ecclesiastical
can you type
authority.
it up?
That's
Go ahead and type it up.
People have an ecclesiastical
Jibber.
marriage. They may have a
No,
state cert also.
under your
Oh.
scenario.
What do you want me to type?
Yeah, we don't.
How many?
We don't
know.
know. We don't know
Exactly.
exactly.
But you're sneezing at my number, but you don't know at
We
all.
know for
hey,
sure
listen, there's a lot
that
you don't
even
know.
if it was
There's
the
a
case
lot
that
don't
you
know.
never adopted the state,
But you don't have any number.
even if it's the
Can
case,
you-
hang on.
What's
hang
the
on,
number?
Hang on. Even if it's the case, granted,
Yes.
still from the state's own admission, the divorce rate's still significantly lower for a reason.
20 to 30%. Okay, so
That's
it's
huge.
still lower. It is nice.
Significantly
It would be
lower.
nice. You still have men under unsettling divorce conditions. You still have men under state-funded divorce. You still
Yeah.
have men under child support. You still have men under parental alienation. You still have sexist marriages.
2 out of
you
10.
haven't accomplished most of.
So this is so fascinating. So Andrew Wilson's talking about this, and I don't know what it is, ecclesiastic marriage. It sounds like maybe marriage to the church, but then you don't actually go do the paperwork through the state. And so Wilson's saying that they're seeing about a 20% divorce rate. But Coach Greg is still pissed off about that for some reason. And it's bizarre because 20% is a lot better than the 50, 52, 54, 56% that is nationwide right now. So it's weird that they can't just talk about the solutions or maybe discuss, why the solution wouldn't work. But instead, it's arguing that it's attacking one point. It's a straw man argument. Why this won't work for everyone, and they could just go to California and get an abortion and this and that. It's just it's too bad. It could have been a very productive conversation, and it's just been getting derailed. It's like it's almost as if he doesn't want solutions to be held up and critiqued, and it's just easier to just throw your hands up in the air and just say there's nothing we can do.
These
2
things.
out of 10.
And I have to be honest with you. This wasn't much of a debate.
Yeah, I know,
because
you
much
lost
of your,
every
no,
point.
no. Listen, much of your scenarios were make believe. To
Oh,
be
okay,
honest
they're all
with you,
make-believe.
they were pretty make believe. You would have to have an extremely considerable movement
That's
to be able to accomplish them.
yeah.
Like
Which
millions
doesn't-
of millions
which
of
mean
people?
You would have to have millions of people to do
Can you pull
exactly
up how
what
many
you're-
Catholic and
No, no,
Orthodox
no,
are in the
no,
United
no,
States?
listen.
It's my turn to ask. I can ask him to
Please
pull
do,
the
please
stats.
do. But that's not the number
How-
I'm looking
how many?
for. That's
Yeah,
not the
it
number
is the
I'm
number
looking
we're
for.
looking for.
We're looking for ecclesiastic marriages under your scenario.
No, listen. Even if
That's
it
the
were
only
the
way
case,
it works for
even
you.
if it were the case, do you agree with me that if you take the state out of marriage, that is going to assist in the reduction of
We
divorce?
can't take the state out of marriage.
Why not?
That's what you're telling me. You
Yeah,
can't
why
tell me
can't
how
you?
many people have done it.
Yeah, but why can't you?
This is a major argument within the space that many men would consider or are considering marriage, but don't want to get married to the state. I'm actually surprised that Andrew agrees with that. Let's proceed.
Because no fault divorce, a woman can go into divorce you, even if because you're not under her control. The
How if you're not
ecclesiastics are under
married
the
to her?
authority.
By the state, you're not married. How can she take you to divorce court? Can you
See,
explain that to me?
I asked you this earlier. Have you been through a divorce?
It doesn't matter.
That's
Answer
a
the
yes.
question.
That's a yes. So you've been through a divorce.
Why does that matter?
All right,
What is it pertinent to the
because
debate?
this is why. Can I finish? You've been telling me I'm cutting you off. You won't let me finish.
Bro, I want
At this
an
answer
answer to my
See,
question.
There we go again. Oh
Can you
my
answer my
goodness.
question?
I mean, I can play the game you're playing.
You just
Can I-
won't answer questions.
Jeez. All right, listen. I mean, I thought you were a tough guy. Listen, under this scenario, a marriage, even if it's ceremonial, religious, it doesn't matter if she files for the divorce. You will still be going in court to fight that.
How
I don't
would
care.
you file for divorce if you're not married by the state, dude?
Listen,
Yeah.
Can you
you're
answer my
completely missing
question?
this. You're completely missing this. This is
my
what
God.
tells me you haven't been through one. Have you talked to a divorce attorney? A woman can file. You have to respond and provide evidence that you were not married. Now, you in your common law, you living with.
That's not how it works. The marriage license is filed digitally. They could just look it up, and the courts could just look it up and see that there's no marriage license. So then there'd be no marriage to like dissolve. So no, I mean a woman can take someone to family court for child support, but that's different than divorce court.
your kids is going to be difficult. I'm trying to give you some information.
That's
and knowledge.
common law marriage.
Okay.
That's different. In some states, there is no common law marriage. So
That's
just
not
answer,
common law marriage.
So just answer
Listen,
one. Okay.
California doesn't even have common law, and that exists. It can
lot
be
of states don't.
ceremonial.
Blake Griffin's girl tried to do that, and she tried to say that, oh, I mentored him with his career and da da da, so I deserve. It was like when he signed his first max contract. I'm like, what the heck? Bro was the #1 prospect. he was league bound before he even met you. And obviously she lost. She ended up getting some money. I think it was maybe like 20 grand a month or something like that, or maybe I think it was 20 or 50 grand a month. I can't remember. But it was just for the child support because they had 2 kids together. But the courts threw that out real quick about, oh, she said she should deserve half his max contract because they lived together and operated like a married couple, and obviously, and the court struck that down. So Coach Greg is wrong. You can sue for child support and custody and do that, but that's different than getting a divorce.
Gain any skill sets or anything like that. I've heard of that, but not that they can go to divorce court.
You get married in Fiji. It doesn't matter. Soon as you get back here, if you practice marriage, the whole institution, at that particular point, if she files, you, sir, will have to respond to that suit.
Yeah.
If you do, I would hope and pray that the judge, not God, grant you your wish. At that point, your argument fails because you then would have to say, my ecclesiastic reverend on the little house on the prairie granted this marriage, but it doesn't count under the state.
I just want to make
she
sure
can do this, and you have to respond.
Can you
to
help
this.
me with this? Because I am
a
actually
lot.
confused. So let's say a woman and a man went out to a field and declared themselves
We got
married.
a scenario. Let's say if
Let's say if a
That's the
man
word.
went out to a field with a woman and declared that they're married.
correct,
You're saying she can still go to a divorce court and divorce him.
she can file for the divorce.
How?
You have to respond.
Yeah,
You
with
have to
what?
respond.
Yeah, what does that mean,
You're-
though? That doesn't mean
Again,
anything.
I'm informing
What are
you.
you
What does
talking
that
about?
mean? This is how a lawsuit works.
Okay,
She's
a
a
lawsuit.
petitioner. She files. She says, we walked on coals. We went outside.
Yeah.
This was a union. I consider it a marriage. Everybody knows and addresses us as a marriage.
Yeah.
This is in non-common law states. We receive mail at this place. We've been living under
that
the same
matters.
roof for this many years. You will have to respond to these allegations. Now you're going to have to say on your petition, this is not true. We have an ecclesiastic marriage and a prenup under God, and we lived together, but we weren't married. That's a response to the lawsuit,
Okay,
and
that's
then you
news for me.
proceed to trial and a hearing.
Is this a lawsuit or a divorce?
Divorce is a lawsuit.
Okay, so wait, I'm
Divorce
curious.
is a lawsuit.
Can you look this up?
Is
Can
divorce
you
a
file for divorce without ever getting married?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh my goodness, you are so. You can file a lawsuit for anything.
So then it's
So
not a
anybody
divorce.
can sue you for
Yeah,
anything.
it's a
Okay,
lawsuit,
so if
but-
you go into there and she
So they're just
says-
suing you?
Yeah,
A
what we
divorce
suing
is a
for?
lawsuit, but a lawsuit is not necessarily a divorce.
Yes, it's
Okay,
a
but
lawsuit.
that's not a divorce. Come
It
on,
says-
dude.
It's a lawsuit.
Can we pull this up? Can you file for a divorce without getting married? Divorce is a legal process that ends in legally recognized marriage.
If you never obtained a marriage license and your marriage was never registered, summarized according to the state law, the courts have no marriage to dissolve. You're full of
Hold
shit.
on for a
You're just
second.
saying
Hold
that
on.
they can. Yeah,
No,
you're
no.
full of shit.
Listen,
they can just
they
sue
have-
you for whatever.
You said they have no marriage to
Yeah,
to
you're
dissolve.
saying that
You
they're just
still
gonna
have to
sue you.
No. You still have
Come
to.
on.
You still have to respond to the lawsuit.
Yeah, but you don't have to go to the divorce.
Oh man, this conversation took a crazy turn. Yeah, this is what happens though when debates are just focusing on the diagnosis and not answering the problems. The conversation was shut down a long time ago. If you want more moments like this, check out the rest of the videos in the Experts Get Exposed debate and panel playlist that I have.